Wednesday, June 17th, and this is the meeting of the Joint Water and Sewer Commission Finance Committee. We have quite an extensive agenda today, and we'll get through it here. Commissioner Edgy is here with us, and Commissioner Watson is remote, and we're glad to see him on the screen and participating. And, of course, our chairman is here with us to share any information he has. All right, is there any public comment?
No, sir.
All right, great. Hearing none, let's go move right to the approval section.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from the May 20th, 2026 Finance Committee meeting.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All right, great, that passes. Item number 2 is the 2026 employee health insurance renewal. Do you want to push this back? And
Yes, if you don't mind, I'd like to skip over number 2 and come back when Ms. Tyndall.
Okay, sure.
Arrives.
We'll give her a chance.
Yes.
All right, well, we'll go ahead and skip to item number 3, which is the fiscal year 26-27 rate resolution. Mr. Burrows, you can share the good news with us, please?
Yes, sir. So, as you recall, we approved the fiscal year 27 budget on the April meeting. That has been submitted to the city and the county for comment with no comments received. And thus, we are now at the point to approve the rate resolution that supports that budget. This would go into effect July 1st of 2026. There are 2 changes. Well, there's a few other administrative changes, but 2 changes to the rate resolution. Particular note, there are no changes to the base charges, REU fees, or volume charges for water or sewer. The only changes that we have, the BOD and TSS concentration surcharges per pound, that is calculated on a 3-year rolling average. So that is the calculated rate. BOD surcharge is going to $1.40 per pound, TSS going to $1.09 per pound. That is charged to significant industrial customers only. The other ones, if you scroll down, there's a few, again, formatting type changes that we're doing. The other change is down on page 1 of 3 in Appendix A. We have updated the cost of water operational fees for the installation of 5/8 by 3/4 meters, 1-inch meters, and 1.5-inch meters, and 2-inch meters, based off the updated cost of the material to install those meters. Labor charges went up less than $10 per meter, so this is based off the cost of the increase of the meter materials. The largest increase in meter materials actually was a tapping saddle, which went up almost $50 per saddle. So that does not change the capital improvement fee portion of that. This is just the operational charges to install the meter. So that's a flat rate that we charge.
Those are just certain meter sizes?
We already have an established charge for 5/8 through 2-inch meters. 3-inch and larger meters are at cost at the time we order. We don't necessarily stock a lot of those.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so.
So if we need an 8-inch meter, we order it. They pay for the fees at that time and our time and materials for installation.
All right, good.
Those are the only changes to the rate resolution at this time, and we would request that we approve the rate resolution for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2027.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Finance Committee recommend the Brunswick-Glynn Joint Water Sewer Commission approve the attached rate resolution for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2027.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion, a second. Any other discussion? No, I hope everyone heard the rates are not going up.
No change
So
to rates. That's right.
That's good news, considering our costs have gone up significantly, so. All right, any other discussion on this matter? All right, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, that's passes 3-0. All right, we'll move right along to item number 4.
Yes, so we currently utilize a Harris product called Enterprise with a CIS add-on for our enterprise resource planning software, or ERP. ERPs are system-wide softwares that house accounting, procurement, billing, customer service packages, things like that. There's work orders associated with them. Our current ERP is an on-premises software. We have a server that we own, and that software is hosted on that server. It was purchased in 2014 and is being effectively phased out by the provider. We're one of only a handful of customers still utilizing the existing ERP product. We wish to implement a new ERP system, with the main drivers of that being to improve our customer service platform, particularly for remote access to our customer service features, and improve our operational efficiencies and expand our reporting capabilities. This has been a very long-term process. We released a request for proposals in July of last year, and those were received just before Labor Day. We got 10 proposals for a new ERP system. We had a 5-member team accounting for senior leadership, accounting, billing team, customer service, and members of the IT team that scored those 10 proposals. We then shortlisted 5 of those 10 for live demonstrations of the software. From those 5, we scored those against a different set of criteria, and we were able to ask for additional clarification based off of some of the questions that still remain based on system capabilities. And the major issue is how these will be implemented. These are going to be long-term implementation projects, and making sure we're all on the same page. The 2 highest scoring proposals were then, we went to reference utilities to determine, get user demonstrations from them, because obviously the sales team does one demonstration. The customers that are using it every day give us a different demonstration of the software capabilities. The highest scoring proposal was submitted by Tyler Technologies with an average final score of 86 out of 100. Mr. Owens will be giving a presentation here momentarily about the proposed benefits of this software and an overview of the customer service platform that we will be provided if this is moved forward. In our capital projects plan that was approved by the board in April, we set a budget of $565,000 for implementation and initial software costs associated with this. We have reviewed the initial proposal provided by Tyler Technologies, and we would like to proceed with negotiating a contract for that implementation. The reason we would like to negotiate a contract is to determine exactly what portion of the implementation workload will be handled by Tyler staff versus by JWSC staff, to confirm all of those details. And that is subject to negotiation depending on how many modules end up needing to be implemented as a portion of this. The annual recurring fees for the software as a service contract moving forward for a cloud-based program with Tyler Technologies is currently estimated at $146,269 annually. So Mr. Owens will give a presentation here shortly, but our recommendation here is that we authorize the executive director to negotiate a contract with Tyler Technologies for implementation of a new ERP with a budget of $565,000.
Before we start the thing, I want to tell you that I worked in IT for a long time for a city, and I have never seen a more comprehensive request for proposal. It was well put together, the staff, and it was well thought out, and that's, I think, why we got 10 responses for it. I also had an opportunity to sit in some of the demonstrations, and I know the salespeople will try to sell you everything, but you can get all the core information there. And I want to say that of the ones I saw, I was very impressed with Tyler also. They seemed to have a firm grasp of what they were doing, and they also were not pie in the sky trying to promise things. They seem to be much more down to earth and realistic about what their product is. So also, of course, the other thing, I'll just throw this in from an IT perspective, software that's still running from 2014 is just this side of a miracle.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's, software is, life of software does not, and it will last anywhere close to that. 5 years, you're going great. So it's certainly good that we've kept it going this long, but I'm sure it's showing its age.
And I will say, before Mr. Owens gives his presentation, certainly from a staff perspective, we'd like to thank all of the proposers, not just for putting forth a proposal, but the 5 that did the demonstrations invested quite a lot of time and staff resources into this process. They've answered a ton of questions we have repeatedly asked them, so there's been a great partnership thus far with those proposers, and I think we've come to a very solid decision as a result of this. So I'll turn it over to Mr. Owens, who will talk about some of the benefits of the software itself.
This is kind of our internal sales pitch on the purchase of a new enterprise
I like
resource
that.
planning system. There's a lot of different reasons why we wanted to do this, not just the fact that the current provider is phasing out their product. There's a lot of issues with our current system because it is so old, and we have a number of problems that we've incurred. Essentially, the things that we're wanting to improve, customer service and operational efficiency, data quality, financial and operational reporting, and those four together kind of combine to give us a chance to improve the overall management of our business. Now, the customer satisfaction side, Andrew alluded to the fact that we're looking to improve our customer portal, provide our customers with a better service experience online, reduce their need to call in or come into our offices, and offer them more options online than just simply paying their bill. For improving our operational efficiencies, we want to reduce manual work, eliminate errors and duplicate efforts that we have to do to kind of work around our existing system. So that's where a new system with its fully integrated capabilities and communication between modules is going to be a huge benefit for us. Those aspects are going to help reduce the errors, which is going to improve the data quality, and the improved quality, along with a more robust reporting aspect of the system, is going to give us many more ways to communicate, what we're doing, how we're doing, the state of the organization as a whole. The current, breaking down the current problems that we have, one of the biggest is all of the manual data entry and inputs that we have to do with our current systems. Applications and orders, changes to service, everything gets put in manually. And this results in a lot of time and effort on the part of our CSRs and other folks, and it results in a number of errors, which are simple keying errors, really. But we have multiple instances of the same address, but the same address or street address being spelled different ways, different abbreviations for street or lane or avenue, things like that. All of that muddies up the data and complicates other jobs that we have to do later. And also, because of the system not having automatic triggers and requiring so much manual input, it also requires us to manually trigger a number of events in the systems. Sometimes that results in certain revenues not being charged and collected. We have, when meters are set, and if one system or one department doesn't communicate back to customer service or billing that that's been done, we can be missing revenues for some time until it's actually noticed.
Yeah, to expound on that, currently, our field crews use CityWorks for work orders, and they currently close a CityWorks work order. Then they have to close a work order in the customer service system to actually initiate the charges, and they don't talk to each other. So if they forget to do the second one, the meter's installed, it's ready to go, and there are no bills being produced as a result of that. This system has already had a built-in API so that we could communicate together. They close out one work order, and it does the whole process automatically for us.
And these data errors not only can cause us to miss out on revenue opportunities, they can cause us to miss out on collection opportunities further down the line when someone leaves us owing some amount on their final bill because of difficulty pulling information out of the system and then having incomplete or incorrect information in the system. It can make it much more difficult to try and find someone who actually owes us money. I mentioned the fact that our current system is not very well integrated. parts of the system itself don't really talk well to each other. They have difficulties communicating. And certainly, there's difficulties or no communication between our current ERP system and outside systems like Andrew was just mentioning with our work orders. This system will fix that problem. Essentially, information that would come from customer information and billing to be carried over to our general ledger accounting system. There's a number of different things that don't automatically transition over in our current system. Adjustments and other entries that we make to a customer's account. An amount will come over and a entry number will come over, and that's really it. So we have to go in and copy and paste notes or descriptions of information so that when we see something pop up in financials and we want an explanation, we can have that. But that's wasted time and effort if the system, is well connected and integrated and can just provide that.
So the journal entries would come through with everything?
Automatically, yes, sir.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, no matter what the journal entries now, any journal entry that comes from our CIS and billing system has to be proposed and approved and posted in our financial system to show up in financials.
Right.
And, having done the work in the customer service or the billing side of the system, it all should already be correct and approved by all the necessary people.
Of course.
So we're really just kind of pushing digital paper around to an extent. But and then there are things that we do in the system that don't create any kind of entry at all, but we would need them to. That would be unclaimed property is a big issue in that area. This system will automatically generate those entries when you flag a remaining bill amount, credit amount on a customer's account. That will generate the correct entries to move that to the unbilled account and maintain the information of that particular customer should we actually find them and be able to give them a check for what they're owed or transfer that to a new account. The poor reporting capabilities, our system is very limited with its reports. Basically, all we get are tables of data, and that's not very pretty. It's not very inviting or easy to use or even understand. This system has a much more powerful reporting aspect to it, which will allow us to do graphical representations, do comparisons to month, year over year, trend analysis, a great number of things. And one of the aspects that I want to illustrate about the limitations of our current system, I'm going to show you in a few minutes when I present this month's financials.
I knew that was coming.
Yep. And how confusing a report from our current system can be, because it lacks the ease of use and versatility to make certain changes. But, customer service and satisfaction, of course, has been probably the biggest driver of the project, and that has really focused around the idea of the customer portal, the ability to do online transactions, payments, requests, etc. Currently, our system, you go in and it's basically a blank screen with a number of buttons on the left, and you can click to pay your bill, and you can see your current or old bills. You can click on services, and that just tells you what type of service you have on a given account. And it only shows you information for one account at a time. So if you have multiple accounts and you want to pay a different bill, then you have to click from a drop down to get to that account to see information on it or make payments on it. You'll see in just a moment the Tyler portal brings everything together in one easy view and offers a lot more bells and whistles features for the customers to really improve what they can do online and minimize the the need to call us or come down and waste their time traveling across town and coming here to fill out applications, et cetera. The current system, because it's difficult to use, it's also starting to cause errors. We're having timeout or connection issues with our payment processor for credit card transactions online. And that's been increasing in the last month or two. What's happening is customers are going online and making a payment, and they're not getting a screen confirming that the payment went through. They're not getting a receipt. So they're entering in the same payment information and doing it again and again. So we've had instances where people have paid us 2 or 3, 4 times for the same bill.
So with the Tyler, then, all that's going to be integrated into this system all in
Right.
one, so we can be sure. So if there was an error, it would report it to us right away.
And,
Okay.
we've currently been working with both our ERP system provider and our online payment provider to try and understand, okay, what's causing this disconnect?
Right.
And, we have to reboot the system, all the payments go through, but the customer never knew about it, and all of a sudden, they've got a much higher bill on their credit card because of multiple transactions they didn't need to make. So we've had a number of instances like that in recent weeks that we've had to sort out.
Who gets to field those calls, to you or
Francis.
Ms. Roberts?
Yeah.
You're okay, yeah.
And Francis had one today.
Okay, all right, yeah, I'm sure.
Yep, it was loads of fun. But, reducing those kind of errors and making life easier for our customers, plus giving them other options. And as we grow, all of these things are really just going to become more cumbersome and more difficult. So, the time is now to take, this step and move in, towards a new system with, more up-to-date, better technology, better integration, communication, the works. And let's see. Here we have a screenshot of a Tyler payment portal. As you can see on the left, there's different selections that can be made, like manage accounts, service requests, contact preferences, connect services, which would basically be applying. And you can see in this example, it shows that the individual has, there's 3 main accounts highlighted there, 3 different addresses. One has a credit balance, one $194 balance, and the other $14,000 balance. But you also, in the upper right corner, you see announcements that, things that we can put there to communicate with our customers, contact information. Everything's kind of easy to find, easy to see. And of course, this whole screen is customizable, so it would have our logo on the screen, and we can kind of arrange and this application however we want. The payments will process and in real time post to the customer's accounts. If a customer starts a service request, maybe to start or stop service, or to have someone come out for whatever reason, they think maybe a water main has broke on their street or something, the system will automatically begin the creation of those work orders, filling in the information that the customer provides, reducing the amount of manual data that we have to do. At that point, we're more data checking instead of data entry. And
So something like that would allow us to, at a glance, look at how many service requests there are in a period of time or anything. So, yeah, so I mean, that's...
This is another screen where they're showing the contact preferences of this customer portal. So the customers, obviously, address, phone number, that kind of information. They can select how to be communicated, email or phone, whether or not they want reminders. setting up auto pay, draft payments, selecting payment methods, et cetera, and so on. A lot of stuff that that system would basically keep track of for us and for the customer.
While we have those availabilities now, it's very clunky for people to get signed up for them. Oftentimes, to get signed up for auto pay, for example, you have to call into our office and speak to somebody to walk you through it because it's not user-friendly to get it set up online yourself.
Going back to this previous screen, I forgot to mention, you saw something like a quick pay here. We don't currently have a guest checkout option.
Was that included in this? So you don't have to sign up or anything, you just, almost as easy as tapping your credit card on?
Essentially, yeah.
Okay.
As long as someone
Nice. That's nice.
comes in with the account number or address, name and address information,
Right.
they can pull up that bill and make that
Okay.
payment yourself, or you can do it on behalf of someone. So all of this comes together in one package that will be much easier to maintain. It's cloud-based, so we shouldn't run into some of the performance issues that we have on our current server. During certain times of the day, our system can get bogged down when we're running large reports, bill runs, and other such items. The system will provide multiple entry points for data. There are obviously things that we're always going to be keying in, but there's scan and entry and drag and drop entry for invoices to auto-populate invoice fields of a record. And that can be done with a number of other type of documents. We'll be able to probably drag and drop attachments to entries or customer records, things of that nature. All of that will be extremely helpful. The reporting functions, as you can see here, there's two examples of two different types of charts. Their reporting package, they call it Advanced Reporting with Executive Insights. Very, very flashy. But it is a really good reporting system with a number of different ways to give graphical representation to the data that we're reporting on, charting and running trends and various types of analysis. It provides more detail and also offers drill down capability to, it's also much more a user-friendly reporting system. All users will have access to the reporting features and be able to customize reports that they're most interested in or they have the greatest need for. And something like that is really going to be able to help us tell the story of Brunswick-Glynn Joint Water and Sewer, what we're doing, how we're doing it, how well we're doing it compared to our plans and budgets, and new opportunities to report on things that we probably don't report on now simply because we haven't had the time to figure out, or some things that we've been reporting maybe on an annual basis, like regards to water loss audits, things like that, that they're very cumbersome and pulling information from a number of different sources. And we'll be able to dig into a lot of new opportunities there as well. And all of these features, these nice bells and whistles of a new software system, essentially that's coming down to the main goal of being able to manage our business instead of managing our system.
Right.
This is going to make things so much easier to deal with, that we'll be able to free up time to do a lot of the things that we're behind on right now, things that are maybe not critical, but highly important to running an efficient, organized business.
All right, does anyone have any questions? it certainly looks like a very comprehensive package, and it's obvious, the need is very obvious at this point. The fact that it's cloud-based is, probably one of the most important features of the whole thing, because there's security involved. And because if we're working from our servers here and they get hacked, we've got a big problem on our hands. But I think the likelihood that if it's in Amazon Web Services, I don't think they're likely to be hacked there. I'm sure the people that protect that have got a significant amount of experience. So, I mean, that's going to be great. And the reporting features, I think, Andrew, I'm sure you would love that.
Sounds wonderful, sir.
At a glance, don't you?
Yes, absolutely.
I know you eat up the information as fast as you can see it, so that'll be good. So anyway, I would say it's a great job everyone's done on the whole, going through the whole process, and I appreciate. I know I've sat through some of the demos, and I only saw part of them. I kind of bogged down after hour one, and I know you were there for several hours with each one of the groups, the people that you saw. So
Yeah, we could sit down with our binders of the proposals and question packages that we receive from them as we've asked questions and gotten responses back and notes and everything. So many different features that we were interested in finding and have found, and learning how they all work, how they are integrated into the system, and specifically, where they're going to be able to help us out with, the issues that we currently have.
Right.
We could spend a day easy doing a roundtable discussion going through all
I'm
that.
sure that's true, yes, yeah. Well, thank you, we appreciate all that information.
So the request is, because we had to finalize the implementation contract, would be to allow me to negotiate a contract up to the approved budget for the ERP implementation.
Right. Just as a matter of perspective, my understanding is the implementation time is probably at least a year.
12 to 18 months, most likely, yes,
Right,
sir.
yes, and it might involve some on-site and some remote.
Yes, sir.
Some people will be
They'll
here.
initially start remote, and then once they get some data conversions created, then they'll come on site to do some things. Training will be a mixture of both remote and on-site, and they have an entire training library that you can access as well if you happen to need additional questions. The one thing with training on any software, as I try to always remind people, is everybody wants to learn exactly what they have to do, but it's hard for somebody to provide individualized training for 150 people. So
Right, yeah.
there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve when it comes to that. But
This company's been around a while, because when
Tyler is one of the industry leaders in this area, particularly in overall municipal governments, not just utilities.
And traditionally, it's interesting, what they do is they will go into a city and they'll hire who they consider the best people that work for the city to come and work for them. They'll pluck off the people that as they go through a training and implement there, people get offered jobs, so.
We'll be on the lookout, sir.
Yes, so be aware, we're not letting you go here, so. So the negotiations, then, also the other thing is, if you can negotiate the annual recurring fees, if you can negotiate like a fixed rate for
Right.
for a period of time.
Certainly.
I think that would be
I
beneficial.
think right now it's currently listed as a 3-year fixed rate on that.
Yeah,
So,
There's also a potential discount.
right.
okay, yeah, well,
And then there's our selection or leaving certain optional items that we may or may not want.
right, that could be brought on later.
Right,
if you need to.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. All right, anyone have any other questions, gentlemen? No?
So will we budget for the transaction fees in 2027?
The recurring fees will be budgeted for the first time in the FY28 budget, which will be presented in March and April. There's nothing budgeted currently for the software fees. That will be, the initial fees as we're going through implementation will be included in the project cost.
Do we anticipate these annual recurring fees include the transaction fees for our customers, or?
No, sir. Transaction fees for the customers, once we switch to the new system, will be passed along to the customers that utilize the online portal.
Anyone else questions? Any other questions? No? All right, I'll go ahead and entertain a motion on this matter.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Finance Committee recommend authorizing the Executive Director to negotiate a contract with Tyler Technologies for the implementation of a new ERP software program with a budget of $565,000.
I second.
All right, any other further discussion? All those in favor? Signify by aye. Okay, that passes 3-0. Thank you very much. You want to go back to number 3?
Yes, let's jump back up to number 2 for employee insurance
I'm
renewal.
sorry, 2, yes.
All right, Ms. Katina Tyndall with First Coast Benefit Solutions is here. She'll give a overview of the current renewal and overall claim situation, and then I've got some suggested recommendations to implement going into next year for your consideration for today. So thank you, Ms. Tyndall.
Thank you. So as you all may know, our stop-loss renewal was quite high due to overutilization or utilization in general. We do find that the plan is quite rich and the rates are wonderful. And because of that, we have a lot of activity on our health plan, and we've seen that in the claims this year. In doing this, the first thing we do is go out to market. We looked at 16 stop-loss carriers. Of the 16, 4 came back and offered an initial quote with a request of further claims data. When we supplied that information to them, we ended up with one quote. That one quote in comparison to your renewal, once they add in lasers are additional deductibles for high claimants. It ended up being that other quote was not, in fact, worth moving, so then the renewal looked best as far as the stop loss is concerned. We then went out to the open market and looked at what if we don't do self-funded anymore, and we go back to the fully funded or level funded of the Anthem, Blue Cross and Blue Shield, Aetna, United Healthcare, and Cigna. Cigna was the only carrier that offered a quote. That quote came back, and it was right at or a little bit higher than your renewal and expected claims. So we realized that leaving that money with the insurance company is probably not the best idea, so we tabled that as well. And then the last thing we did is looked at a captive, and a captive is just simply an opportunity to get together and band with other businesses like yours, some larger, some smaller, to see if that buying power could sustain you longer in being in self-funded. That number came back very close to your renewal. So in the end of all the evaluations and the multiple meetings that we had over several months, your renewal is still going to be your best option. Even at a 70% increase, that equates to about $233,000 in fixed cost. So the rest of the difference is really just expected claims, which added together is a little over $700,000. We, on the dental, vision, disability, and life insurance, we initially received a 14% increase on the dental, of 4% on the vision. We negotiated that down to an 8% flat on the dental, 0 on the vision, and your life insurance and disability is in a rate guarantee that we negotiated over the last couple of years. So all in all, when we're looking at what our recommendations are, we need to put in some measures, as many companies like yours have, to create a stop loss for the claims that are coming in, and maybe some tools and opportunities for the employees. We do see that prescription coverage continues to be a rising cost at around 40%. We're seeing that that's creeping up even at 50%. But in this particular case, the utilization in general was just as high outside of the prescription. So it's not just a prescription issue, it's really a combination of things. So in doing that, and in our multiple meetings, and thank you to Mr. Burrows and Ms. Roberts for your time, and in going over all of this, Mr. Burrows does have some recommendations for you all to consider.
All right, thank you. First thing, as you see there in the memo, we went self-funded in 2020, August 1st of 2020, so fiscal year 21. The first 4 years we were self-funded. Our average total cost was just shy of $1.6 million, which was a tremendous benefit. We were paying over $2 million at that time for a fully funded plan. 2025, it bumped up to 1.7, and currently we're on pace through the first 9 months of the plan year to date to be at $2.6 million by the end of the year. So a substantial, nearly $900,000 increase in cost for health insurance in this fiscal year, with another expected jump into next fiscal year of, like Ms. Tyndall mentioned, of nearly $700,000. Given what Ms. Tyndall had talked about, we have proposed some changes to the employee biweekly deductions. I'll go through some reasons for this. If you look at the claims history, 55% of our claims come from spouses that are on our program. Employees do not make up even half of the claims on our plan. And so the recommendation we have set forth is to actually reduce the payments for biweekly deductions for employee-only coverage and shift that cost to spousal coverage, because that is where we're seeing the claims come in. There's a slight increase also for employee and child, but why is the employee and child not going up at the same rate employee and spouse is because we're not seeing claims from children being covered, which makes a certain amount of sense. Most children don't go to the doctor unless they have wellness checks or they fall and break their arm. So not a lot of...
infections.
Or ear infections, that's right. So you see the proposed changes in deductions there. I will note that 50 people that take our insurance coverage out of the 104 currently covered team members are on employee-only coverage. So 50 of the 104 would receive a reduction in their biweekly deductions for medical coverage. We still will plan to offer the $1,500 deductible, $3,500 deductible plan, and the $5,000 HSA plan. Dental, we mentioned the 8% increase in dental. The increase into the employee rates for employee only is $1.80 per biweekly deduction, and for family, $4.50. Vision, no increase as negotiated by Ms. Tyndall's team. We offer an HRA, a reimbursement, deductible reimbursement program for one covered individual per employee. So if you have family coverage, one person meets the deductible, we can get reimbursed for that. We currently reimburse at a rate of 75%. For example, if you have the $3,500 deductible plan, you're eligible for a reimbursement of $2,625 for incurred deductible expenses. We recommend reducing the deductible reimbursement from 75% to 50%. We originally started the HRA program at a 50% reduction, so this is going back to where it began to share in the increasing costs with those employees that are indeed incurring those higher cost claims. If an employee does not have claims charged to the deductible, they will not be impacted by these changes. The other thing mentioned was that 55% of our claims and costs are for spouses on the program. We propose to initiate a working spouse surcharge policy that will help manage these costs and preserve affordability for our employees that are covered. If an employee's spouse is eligible for medical coverage through the spouse's employer, but they elect not to enroll in their employer-sponsored coverage, a biweekly surcharge of $100 will apply for that spouse to enroll in the JWSC-sponsored plan. According to Ms. Tyndall's market research, they still likely will have a very rich plan with us, may be more cost-effective to do that, but right now, a lot of folks are on our plan, they're not taking their own employer-sponsored plans. Staff will be required to attest to the coverage eligibility of their spouses covered on the JWSC plan at the time of renewal. The last thing, talking about prescriptions, our prescription costs have continued to rise, and in some cases, our employee costs have risen for their own personal out-of-pocket due to the rising prescription coverage cost. First Coast proposes that we partner with script sourcing as a voluntary way for employees to reduce their prescription drug spend. This is a program that is basically the script sourcing will reach out to the covered individuals with eligible prescriptions. Not all of them are eligible for the program, and provide opportunities for these prescriptions to be mailed directly to their residents, likely at zero charge to the consumer. These prescriptions would be sourced directly from the manufacturer or from other Tier 1 countries such as Canada, the UK, and Australia. Based off of the estimates of the covered medications currently under our plan that are being utilized, this program could reduce prescription cost coverage to the JWSC by over $20,000 a month, not including removing copays for employees that may be currently paying up to $45 or even $125 copays, depending on the tiered structure they currently have on the on their prescription coverage through United Healthcare.
I have a question on that. So that would be voluntary?
That would be voluntary. I mean, you get a phone call from script sourcing. The only way script sourcing gets paid is if the employee takes the script sourcing program. We're no out-of-pocket whatsoever for this. They get a percentage of the amount that they're saving us.
Okay.
So if
So
an employee
they
does
would-
not wish to take
Right.
part in the program, they in no way have to do so.
They would approach the person that was taking the...
Yes.
And discuss that with them. And
Discuss
explain
that
to
with them. We have no information about who's taking what prescriptions. We just have a list of prescriptions that are
Yeah,
eligible for
no,
the program.
I understand. So it would be between script sourcing and the patient.
That is correct.
We're not involved.
We're
in
not
that.
involved whatsoever.
Because, well, there's very strict privacy laws anyway, so.
Absolutely.
So, and the thing about it is that I know that the insurance companies push mail order things anyway and waive any copays, so that may be helpful to people if they're not getting some assistance with copay now, that they won't have to pay that.
Right.
So that might be, and it certainly, from an overall standpoint on our plan, it's beneficial for reducing our costs since we are self-insured.
Yes, since we're self-insured, the opportunity to potentially save $20,000 a month is not one that we should pass up. So,
You know, I think the perspective here, of course, is that we want our employees to be healthy and their families to be healthy because they're better employees when their families are healthier. So, you know, what it costs is what it costs to do this. And unfortunately, we don't have the control over the cost of the healthcare period.
yeah, I think healthcare costs nationwide, I believe the numbers you sent over, they're going up 10% annually.
You know,
Average, some higher depending on the specialty care that you're getting. Unfortunately, we're in a very difficult situation in the healthcare industry in this country, and this is one of the results of that when
Right,
you are
yeah.
self-funded.
right. I think a comprehensive approach like this is certainly beneficial. And I think employees could be assured that, you know, whatever the work they do, if they work with script sourcing, that's strictly between the
Yes.
script sourcing and them, that it's nothing to do with us, but it would help the plan overall.
Right.
It would reduce our costs, which is beneficial.
Yeah, so according to the expected claims, which is a calculation United Healthcare does, they're expecting the total claims liability next year to be $2.7 million. We currently, in the budgeting process, have budgeted $1.96 million, and then based off of proposed deductions from employees of a little over $400,000, that goes into that same account. All deductions go into that account to help pay those. It comes in together. So the proposed total funding is just shy of $2.4 million for health insurance. Should our cost exceed that total, we do have a group insurance reserve to pay off anything up to $1.3 million above that. So recommendation as we move forward with the coverages as described and the plan changes as described to be effective August 1st, 2026. And if approved today and tomorrow, there will be employee meetings next week, I believe, Thursday and Friday of next week.
All right, great. Let's do the motion first, and then if we have a discussion.
I move that the Finance Committee recommend renewing the employee insurance coverage to be effective August 1st, 2026, as presented.
Second.
All right. Now, questions?
All my questions were answered during the meeting that we had. They were very thorough.
One thing I will note, obviously, anytime there's changes to the insurance programs, staff has to look at what they're doing from their personal coverage perspective. These do qualify, I believe, as a qualifying event if they were going to transfer over to a spouse's
Yes.
policy or vice versa. So they don't have to worry, nobody has to worry about losing insurance through this. If they change over, you don't have to wait to open enrollment. It's a qualifying event if they want to change.
Yes. Commissioner Watson, do you have anything, questions?
No, thank you.
Yeah, I think it's an opportunity for the employees to become more participatory in the process with insurance and understand that, you know, that organization and they benefit as well. And, that, you know, that they could work together and we can keep an eye on something that we can't control. But like I said, we certainly want our employees to get whatever medications
Yeah,
and
so
the
if you look-
healthcare they need.
If you look at these numbers here, in the past 3 years,
Yeah.
including the $2.8 million expected liability next year, costs have almost doubled in the last 3 years.
Yeah. Yep, there's no question, so, yeah. So, all right, we have a motion and a second, and all in favor?
Aye.
All right, that passes 3-0. Thank you very much. Thank you for Ms. Tyndall and everyone that participated in all the meetings for that to come up with a good solution for us. Appreciate it. All right. We are now up to item number 5, the contract award for Pump Station 3103, 4119 Rehab and Force Main Phase 1 Services. Mr. Burrows?
All right, I'm talking about health insurance and software. As an engineer, I'm very excited to talk about the project.
Finally, we get
This is a large project with 2 pump stations. Pump Station 3103 is in the Royal Oak subdivision at exit 29. It receives flow, obviously, from that subdivision. There's a commercial area adjacent where you have some hotels, gas stations, and fast food restaurants, and 1 sit-down restaurant in the area, and it also receives the flow from the Georgia Ports Authority's Colonel's Island facility. Also, we operate 4119 in the North Mainland District at the intersection, or very near the roundabout at Golden Isles Parkway and Highway 99. So all of the flow north of Highway 99 and west of Golden Isles Parkway flows through upstream pump stations prior to being repumped by 4119. So all the way out to the railroad tracks on Highway 99, all the way to the new schools that's being built on Golden Isles Parkway, all of that flow funnels through 4119. Currently, these stations need to be increased in flow rate, and not only increased in flow rate, but when we do that, we need to increase the force main size because of you don't want excessive velocity in the force mains, and also smaller force mains increase the horsepower requirements to pump that flow. So we're going from 400 to 650 gallons per minute on the flow at 3103 with an estimated installed force main length of 6,000 feet. 4119 going from 800 to 1,950 with a 12-inch force main at 10,000 linear feet. We received 10 proposals after about 60 people showed up for a pre-proposal meeting on site. And we scored...
Did you say 60?
Yes. I'm not exaggerating. That was the largest pre-proposal meeting I have ever attended.
That's unheard of.
There was a lack of parking availability. Most pump stations don't have parking for that many vehicles. So we had a 3-person team score this, a member of senior leadership, a member of our engineering team, and a member of operations scored this. The highest scoring proposal for Phase 1 services, which will get us to a 30% design and also provide a guaranteed maximum price for the completion of the project, was submitted by Garney Companies with a total cost for Phase 1 services at $492,000. The proposed overhead and fee percentages that will be added to all Phase 2 services if they're awarded is at 5% and 9% respectively. We did take all 10 of the preliminary budgetary estimates for the total project cost, and the median project cost was $9.4 million. Total allocated funding is $9.8 million, so let's hope that number holds up. And if we move forward with tomorrow with an award after today, Garney is committed to providing a guaranteed maximum price for Phase 2 services within 120 days. Likely, by the time we go through contract signings and everything like that, you're looking at kicking this off early August, so you're looking at guaranteed maximum price end of the year, 1st of 2027. So our proposal here, this is funded from 2 separate project items, but is to award Phase 1 services to Garney Companies at $492,000. I will state that one of the main reasons people scored Garney high is they are able to self-perform almost the entirety of this project. They're a very large contractor, and they have the ability to install the directional drilling, the open cutting, the whole mechanical, electrical. They're a one-stop shop when it comes to contracting.
Question, are we purchasing the pipe ourselves?
Not on this project.
Not on this, okay.
Not on this project. Mostly because we haven't determined yet, they're going to be determining as part of this, how much of it needs to be drilled, how much of it needs to be
Okay,
open cut.
understood.
And until they get through that reasoning, not a lot of benefit to buying pipe. Was, again, 10 people proposed, a lot of very good proposals, a lot of people we haven't worked with before. Good to see the attention on this project, and some very strong proposals, but the highest scoring one by a very narrow margin was Garney Companies. And price was considered for both the Phase 1 services, and those fee and overhead percentages were included in the scoring matrix.
You're right, this is more exciting than health insurance.
A lot more exciting.
Definitely. All right, I'll entertain a motion on this matter.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move that the Finance Committee recommend awarding a contract to Garney Companies, Inc. for Phase 1 services for Pump Station 3103 and 4119 expansion and force main project in the amount of $492,000.
Second.
A second. Was this matter done by the earlier committee?
Yes, this was
facility?
discussed with the Facilities Committee and approved.
It was approved,
Yes.
recommended, okay. Any questions on this matter? Hearing none, All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, that passes 3-0. Thank you. All right, we're now up to item number 6.
Yes, so this is the easiest item you get to discuss today. This is a final adjusting change order to close out the Canal Road Water Production Facility construction contract. In all of our construction contracts, we have additional items of work if needed, and this is to balance those items that were not used. So this is to remove $350,693.26 from the contract amount. Original contract amount, $5,167,000. Final contract amount is $4,816,306.74. This also does include a time extension to the date of final completion, which was actually February 17th, 2026, as we've been finalizing the paperwork on this. So this is to reduce the contract amount for Reeves Young and also provide a time extension and to close the project out upon payment of final invoicing. Now, again, these are items that were in the contract that if they came up, we had a price for them, we're taking them out because they weren't used. It's not that the project didn't get completed.
Okay. All right, I'll entertain a motion on this matter.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Finance Committee approve final adjusting change order as a project time extension with an adjusted final project completion date of February 17th, 2026, and adjusted final contract amount of $4,816,306.74.
Second.
All right, a second. Just as a matter of comparison, when we did the last kind of project like this,
The previous one to this was 1.8 million.
you know, I mean, it's illustrative of what's happened to
And that was
cost.
in 2019 when that project was done.
Right, that's when it was
So 5-year
completed.
period, it almost tripled in price.
Yeah, I mean, it gives it a good perspective on what's happening in the industry here, so nothing, we can change it.
And I will say, the project, this well has been online since September of last year. It's operating, no pun intended, very well. So glad to have this one online. Just needed to close the contract out.
Great, all right. All right, any discussion on this matter? All right, hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, that passes 3-0. Thank you. Now we're up to item number 7, Glenn Brunswick 911 Services Agreement for External Entities.
Yes, sir. This is an annual agreement we enter into with the Glynn County Board of Commissioners. They establish a joint public safety communications department that provides coverage for police, fire, and EMS radios that are utilized by both Glynn County and the city of Brunswick. Those radios are available for use for public entities with these agreements as an 800 megahertz systems. We have 10 radios that we have purchased over at 3 different purchases to utilize during emergency response efforts in the event we lose cell service. And if you recall, during Hurricane Helene, we went many hours without cell service, so these were the only ways we could communicate. The service charge to be on their network is $55 per month per radio. So this agreement would be for $6,600 annually. Again, this agreement allows us to use that network. We do not have access to police, fire, or EMS communications as a result of this. We have separate radio channels, so there's no issues with us hearing information that we're not supposed to hear. This is only used in the event we lose cell service in a storm.
And we don't want them to know what we're doing.
We certainly don't want to know what they're doing. That sounds way more complicated than getting water and sewer.
Yeah,
back.
that's true. Yeah. All right, I'll entertain a motion on this matter.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Finance Committee recommend the full commission enter into the Glenn Brunswick 911 Services Agreement with the Glynn County Board of Commissioners.
I'll second.
All right, any discussion on this matter? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, that passes 3-0. Thank you. Now we are up to the financial statements.
Go again. Our financial statements for the month of May 2026 proved to be a quiet month for us financially speaking. Starting with the current assets, cash and cash equivalents decreased $596,000. That was $218,000 on our main revenue account, and an additional $411,000 on the payroll account, which, if you recall from last month, that's a timing issue. The April month-end payroll was allocated on April 30th, which was Thursday, and then Friday, May 1st is when it was actually paid out. So, Net result to total current assets was a decrease of $334,000, bringing total current assets to $12,534,000. Restricted cash, essentially nothing but normal funding activities there. Movements into our R&R receivable, which I think is about $800,000 and change each month, and see our receipt of the SPLOST account for $269,000 this past month. Total restricted cash changed almost $1.3 million, putting it at a balance of $59,928,972 for the month. Capital assets, the biggest, of course, our normal depreciation charge, it's fixed assets, net of depreciation. Construction in progress saw a $1 million increase. That was about $649,000 for FEMA mitigation projects, and $252,000 for McKenzie Road and DePrater Lane. And that was essentially invoice payments on those accounts. The FEMA mitigation, $533,000 of that was for generator installation, and $116,000 a scope change to the project as well. Basically, that less our depreciation resulted in a net change to total capital assets of an increase of $315,000, putting total capital assets at $227,823,113 for the month. Total assets increased $1.27 million and sits at $301,734,000 at the end of May. Current liabilities, of course, as always, we see movement in accounts payable. Accounts payable increased $628,000. That was essentially items related to the two projects I just mentioned, as well as Academy Creek RAS for $138,000 and Academy Creek's UV installation for $149,000. Excuse me. As some of those payments were the release of retainage, which, there was also a retainage payable of $173,000 on Dunbar Creek that was paid out. That brought total current liabilities to $10,478,817 for the month, which was a net change of a $212,000 increase. Total liabilities, as a result, landed at $76,136,579, which was only a $214,000 increase for the month. Third page, get into our revenue summary of revenues and expenses. Revenues essentially came in as expected, slightly longer, 31-day month, so slightly higher revenues for the month. Monthly revenues were $3,798,000, putting us at $40,218,393 year to date, better than budget by $3.7 million. Expenses, we also saw noticeable increase in expenses. The expenses for the month, a little over $2.9 million, bringing us to $27,938,295 year to date. One thing to note, and this is where I mentioned earlier, limitations of our reporting system and how it can cause confusing information. A big chunk of the increase in expenses, because $2.9 million is roughly $400,000 to $500,000 higher than we would see in an average month. We had $489,000 increase to our purchase order encumbrances. And one, as an example, one of those purchase orders was for landscaping, $180,000 contract for landscaping for a full year. So currently, that's showing up with all the charges that we have incurred this year. But at the end of the year, it will get rolled over,
It's an annual contract.
come off
Is it?
of
Okay.
of this year and go into next year as the encumbrance. So that's,
And also, I would note there was a 3-paycheck month as well. So that increases expenses for the month.
That's right.
yeah, because personnel expenses, of course, were about, a little more than $300,000 higher than normal. So that's basically a payroll.
Right.
But, so, keeping that in mind, that we've had some significant encumbrance increases, that's going to change, the real outlook is going to change dramatically as we get to the end of the year and into the audit, where we start making year-end adjustments and rollovers of things from this year to next year. Whereas currently, we show a net revenue loss of $517,000 year-to-date. If all 489,000 of those purchase order encumbrances that we saw hit this month, are largely related to next year, that could be easily $400,000 to $480,000 that comes off of that,
Right.
which would be putting us at anywhere from $100,000 to $20,000 or $30,000 net loss instead of the $517,000 that we currently show.
Right. So you're looking forward to the new software package?
Indeed.
For sure. Absolutely.
To be able to create new reports.
Right,
that'll
right, and have a truer picture of things.
clean up some of these kinds of things and do all sorts of other fun things with it.
Dave just thinks I ask him a lot of questions now. Wait till I can actually get to the data.
He'll set up the reports for you,
Yeah.
and let you run them. That'll be it.
You can go out and play with your backhoes and pipes and things. I want to play with my numbers.
Perfect.
But, the next page, page 4, same information, just of course broken down the expenses by division, and the areas where we are significantly over budget on expenses are of course the same perpetrators that we've seen month after month. There was another large hit on group insurance this month in finance. And of course, in wastewater, biosolids, equipment repairs, rentals, encumbrances, things of that.
I will add on the oxygen, a couple of months ago, we approved a contract to try to automate that oxygen control.
Right.
We have 2 tanks, and so they're operated separate systems right now. With the northern tank, which is a lower portion of the flow, is on the automatic control now, and for the first week that is in control, it has reduced oxygen consumption by 14% on that one side.
First week?
First week, it reduced it by 14%.
That's
And we're
pretty-
still fine tuning, but, so.
pretty
We
significant.
get the other side, they're working on it now, we get it under control, we should see a substantial reduction in oxygen cost.
And just another note on these purchase order encumbrances, as I mentioned, the landscaping contract, that was $180,000 of the 489 increase we saw for encumbrances. 289,000 of that is in the wastewater operations and treatment plants. And then, of course, some other areas like water production and property and casualty, those saw decreases basically because we've actually made payments against amounts that we had encumbered. So, going over to the next page, 5. I believe it's 5. Yes. Talking about our cash summary report here. We addressed the first section of cash and cash equivalents, talking about the balance sheet with the changes to revenue and the revenue account and the payroll account, putting our cash and cash equivalents at $2.5 million. The $41,739,520 for our restricted reserves. That's a change of $1 million. 875 of that is our normal transfer to the repair and replacement reserve account. No significant change on the construction fund. And the $269,000 that we got from the county for SPLOST is the only other significant change, bringing total cash and investments to $65,398,091. Almost $950,000 increase for the month.
Do you know the interest rate we're getting on the overnight cash? Right off the top?
3.5%.
3.5? Excellent.
Yep.
Very good.
And, yes, 3.5, which is also the amount that we get on the money market investment cash that we have in our investment accounts. We did finally lose that last municipal bond.
I see that.
Hanging out there.
Point something, something.
That was the cheer I heard coming from your office, I got you.
So currently, our lowest yielding security is a U.S. Treasury item, about the ninth one down the list, currently yielding 3.99% to market. Our portfolio overall yielding 4.08%, 4.45 on the fixed income investments, and 3.5 on cash. The fair market value took a hit this month of about $60,000, which brought the overall portfolio into a paper loss position. But we, of course, had $145,000 received this month in interest and dividends on that account. And then finally, the project report. The big changes on the project report, $221,673 on the CW and DW GFO loan projects. Also like to note the CW loan is basically entering the principal repayment.
Okay.
We, of course, budgeted and planned to start making significantly larger payments this coming year on that loan.
Sure.
But the only other changes that happened were really changes between current year encumbrance and expenditure amounts, which relates to the projects I mentioned earlier in the presentation, where we actually paid amounts that were invoiced against POs that had been fully encumbered. And the biggest ones, of course, were the FEMA mitigation and the McKenzie Road to Prater Lane.
Very good, sir.
Very good, you got it.
Any questions?
Questions, gentlemen? No?
No.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate you putting this information together. I know it's cumbersome to do. So, all right, I don't believe we have anything else.
No other items for the committee, sir.
All right, I will accept a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn?
I'll second the motion. Oh, there we go. All right, all those in favor? 3-0, and we are adjourned.